The sun was slowly setting over the small village of Kyra. The sky turned orange and purple, and the shadows of the trees stretched long across the fields. Children were returning home from school, carrying their bags, laughing and running through the dusty roads. Among them was a quiet boy named Aaron, only 12 years old. Aaron was not like other children. He was thoughtful, often curious about things others ignored. He loved to explore the forest near his village, though his mother always warned him not to go too deep. That evening, Aaron carried a small lunchbox in his hand. Inside was some bread, a boiled egg, and a piece of fruit. He had saved it because he wasn't very hungry at school. As he walked, the wind grew cooler. The forest on the edge of the village whispered softly as the leaves rustled. Suddenly, Aaron stopped. He heard something unusual. At first, he thought it was the sound of a bird or maybe a stray dog. But no, it was different. It was a faint, trembling cry. He frowned, looking around. The road was empty. The cry came again, soft, weak, and filled with pain. It came from the line of trees to his right. Aaron's heart beat faster. Every story he had ever heard about monsters and spirits in the woods filled his mind. He should keep walking home, he told himself. But his feet refused to move forward. His curiosity was stronger than his fear. Slowly, he stepped off the road and walked toward the sound. Dry leaves cracked under his shoes. The cries grew clearer. He pushed aside a low branch and peered into the shadows. There, under a fallen tree trunk, was something he had never seen before. It was small, smaller than a child, maybe the size of a cat. Its body was thin and fragile, with skin that glowed faintly like the moon. Its large, round eyes looked too big for its face, shining with a strange silver light. Its tiny hands clutched its stomach as if in pain. Aaron's mouth opened in shock. What is this?" he whispered. The creature noticed him and froze. For a moment, both just stared at each other. Aaron felt a wave of fear. He had heard of wild animals in the forest, but this was no animal. It was something else, something not from his world. The creature made another weak sound. It wasn't a growl. It wasn't a threat. It sounded almost like begging, hungry, lonely. Aaron's hands tightened around his lunchbox. He realized what the sound meant. The creature was starving. He should run. He should scream for the elders. That would be the safe thing to do. But as he looked at the glowing eyes, he saw no danger, no evil. He only saw desperation. Slowly, with shaky hands, he opened his lunchbox. He pulled out the piece of bread. The creature's eyes followed every movement. Aaron crouched low and placed the bread on the ground, a few steps away from himself. The creature hesitated, sniffed the air, and then crawled forward. It picked up the bread with its thin fingers and stuffed it into its mouth. It ate quickly, almost too quickly, as if it hadn't tasted food in days. Aaron watched in silence, his heart racing. He took out the boiled egg and placed it near the creature. Again, the small being grabbed it and devoured it, its skin glowing brighter with each bite. Finally, he handed over the fruit. The creature ate it slowly, and for the first time, its expression softened. Its silver eyes looked up at Aaron, not with fear, not with anger, but with something else, something like gratitude. Aaron felt his fear fade away. Instead, a strange warmth filled his chest. He had just fed something not human, something alien. Yet in that moment, it felt natural, almost right. The creature tilted its head, studying him. Then in a flash of silver light, it scurried away into the forest. Within seconds, it was gone. Aaron remained there, frozen, staring at the empty spot. Did that really happen? Or was his mind playing tricks? He looked at his empty lunchbox, proof that it had been real. The forest was silent again, but Aaron felt the silence was different now. He felt as if unseen eyes were watching him from the shadows. He picked up his bag and hurried back to the road, his steps faster than before. His heart was heavy with questions. What was that creature? Why was it here? And why did he feel deep inside that this small act of kindness was only the beginning of something much bigger? As the last light of the sun disappeared and the first stars blinked awake in the sky, Aaron walked into his village. The normal houses, the sound of people cooking, and the laughter of children felt safe. But Aaron knew nothing would be normal again, because in the darkness of the forest he had just made contact. And the story of that one meeting was far from over. That night, Aaron could hardly sleep. He lay on his small bed, staring at the wooden roof above him. The image of the glowing creature replayed again and again in his mind. Its thin hands, its huge silver eyes, the way it had eaten the bread so quickly. He could not forget any of it. He wanted to tell someone, but who would believe him? If he told his friends at school, they would laugh. If he told his parents, they would worry and forbid him from going near the forest again. Aaron knew this was something he had to keep to himself. But he also felt something else. Something stronger than fear. He felt a strange sense of responsibility. That little being had looked at him not just with hunger but with trust. The next morning, Aaron slipped some food into his bag before school, an extra piece of bread, a boiled potato, and a small sweet his mother had given him. All day he thought only about the forest. As soon as school ended, Aaron walked toward the same path where he had heard the cries the day before. The sun was still high, but the forest looked darker than usual, as if it was hiding secrets. His heart beat faster with every step. When he reached the fallen tree trunk, the spot was empty. He crouched down, searching the shadows. "Hello?" he whispered, feeling foolish. "Are you there?" For a moment there was silence. Then from the deeper part of the woods came a faint rustle. Leaves moved. Branches shook. And then, there it was. The small alien stepped out slowly, almost shy. Its skin glowed faintly but brighter than yesterday. Its big eyes locked onto the bag in Aaron's hands. Aaron smiled nervously. I brought you food." He opened the bag and placed the bread and potato on the ground. The alien moved closer, sniffed the air, and then snatched the bread. It ate hungrily, just like before, but this time it did not run away after eating. It stayed. Aaron carefully placed the boiled potato in front of it. The alien grabbed it, chewing fast, then slowed down as if enjoying the taste. Finally, Aaron pulled out the sweet. It was small, wrapped in paper. He unwrapped it and placed it gently on the grass. The alien hesitated. Its glowing eyes studied Aaron's face. Then it reached out, picked up the sweet, and bit into it. A strange sound came out of its mouth, something like a soft hum, almost a purr. It was the sound of happiness. Aaron laughed quietly. "You like it, don't you?" The alien looked at him again, and for the first time Aaron felt something even stranger. It was as if the alien understood him, as if it could read the meaning behind his words, not just the sound. The alien stepped closer, slowly, carefully. It reached out its tiny hand and touched Aaron's wrist. Its fingers were cool, almost like water, and its touch sent a shiver down his arm. Then suddenly, a picture flashed in Aaron's mind. Not words, not sounds. A picture. He saw a dark sky filled with fire. He saw creatures running, hiding, screaming. He saw the small alien sitting alone, scared, watching everything burn. Aaron gasped and pulled back. The picture vanished. He stared at the alien, his eyes wide. Was that you?" he whispered. The alien tilted its head, its silver eyes shining with sadness. Aaron understood then. This little being was not just lost. It was a survivor. Something terrible had happened to its home, and now it was here, hungry and alone. Aaron's fear faded. Instead, his heart filled with sympathy. He had only given away a simple lunch, but to this alien it meant life. It meant kindness. The alien touched his wrist again, but this time there was no vision. Only warmth, gratitude. Aaron felt tears prick his eyes. "Don't worry," he said softly. "I'll help you. I'll bring you food every day." The alien blinked slowly, then stepped back. Its body glowed brighter than ever. Then, in a swift motion, it darted back into the forest and disappeared into the shadows. Aaron stood there for a long time, staring at the spot where it had vanished. His hands trembled, not with fear but with excitement. He had made a promise, not with words but with actions. The gift of food had created something powerful between them, a bond. When Aaron finally walked back to the village, the world around him felt different. The houses, the people, even the dusty road, everything looked the same, yet he knew something extraordinary was unfolding. He did not know it yet, but his small act of kindness was not just feeding one hungry creature. It was opening a door between his world and another, and behind that door bigger things were waiting. The evening in Kyra village was always the same. Families gathered around small fires, children played in the dusty lanes, and the sound of cooking filled the air. But that night everything felt different to Aaron. He sat outside his small house, staring at the forest line in the distance. The sky above was dark, painted with stars. Yet the forest did not look peaceful to him anymore. It looked alive, as if hiding secrets in its shadows. Aron's mother called him in for dinner. He nodded and ate quietly, his mind far away. His father talked about the day's work. His mother hummed a soft song, but Aron barely listened. All he could see in his head were those silver eyes glowing in the dark. When dinner was over and the house grew quiet, Aron lay in bed. The night air slipped in through the window, cool and gentle. But sleep would not come. He turned left, then right, but his eyes remained wide open. At last he heard it again. The forest. It was silent. Too silent. Normally crickets sang, owls called, dogs barked, but tonight there was nothing. Not a sound. Only silence. Aron sat up. His heart raced. He felt the same way as yesterday when he had sensed unseen eyes watching him. He looked out the window. The forest stood dark and tall, but something was wrong. The silence was heavy, almost like a weight pressing down on the village. Then he saw it. Far beyond the trees, a faint light flickered. At first he thought it was a lantern, but no, this light moved differently. It shimmered, danced, and changed colors, blue, green, silver. It glowed like the skin of the alien he had fed. Aron's breath caught. Was it the same creature? Or were there more? He wanted to go outside, to run to the forest and see. But fear pinned him to the bed. He remembered the vision, the burning sky, the screams. Maybe the aliens were not just hungry. Maybe they were running from something dangerous. The light flickered again, then spread wider like ripples on water. For a moment, Aron thought he saw shapes moving in the glow. Small shapes like the alien. But before he could be sure, the light vanished. Darkness returned. Silence remained. Aron pressed his face against the pillow. His thoughts tangled. If there were more aliens, why had only one come to him? And if they were hiding in the forest, what did they want from his village? He closed his eyes, but sleep was broken by strange dreams. He dreamed of stars falling from the sky, of huge shadows covering the land, of his village surrounded by glowing figures, and always at the center of the dream was the small alien staring at him with silver eyes. When he finally woke, the moon was high, and the silence was still there. The village slept unaware. Only Aron lay awake, listening. Then he heard a sound. Not a cry this time. Not begging. But a soft hum. It was far away, deep in the forest. The sound rose and fell like a song. Aron shivered. Was it a call? A warning? Or something else? He sat up, staring at the trees until his eyes grew heavy. Slowly, he drifted back into uneasy sleep. But deep inside, he knew something was coming. Something bigger than a hungry alien. The next morning, the silence was gone. The village woke up as usual. Chickens clucked, children laughed, men prepared for the fields. But Aron noticed the whispers. Some villagers claimed they had seen lights in the forest at night. Others said they had heard strange sounds. Most ignored it, calling it imagination, but Aron knew it was real. He had seen it with his own eyes. All day the whispers grew. People became uneasy. Even the elders frowned and glanced toward the trees. Aron kept his secret. He told no one about the food he had given. No one about the visions. No one about the touch. This was his secret. And his burden. But as the day ended and the sky turned red again, Aron felt the weight of the silence return. He knew the forest would not stay quiet forever, and when it finally spoke, the whole village would hear. The next morning began like any other. The sun rose gently over the hills, painting the fields golden. Birds called out, roosters crowed, and smoke rose from kitchens as villagers prepared breakfast. But soon, something strange was noticed. The children who went to fetch water from the well were the first to scream. Farmers on their way to the field stopped in shock. One by one, people left their houses and stood frozen, staring at the land around them. The fields of Kyra village had changed overnight. Across the earth, glowing shapes had appeared, spirals, circles, lines that twisted together into patterns no human hand could draw. They shone faintly, like fireflies trapped in the soil. Some were so large they could only be seen fully from above, stretching across acres of farmland. The villagers whispered in fear. Magic, one woman said. Spirits, another man muttered. Bad omen, an elder whispered, clutching his wooden staff. Aron pushed through the crowd, his heart pounding. He knew instantly what this was. The glow was the same as the alien's skin, the same light he had seen in the forest. But why here? Why now? He bent down and touched one of the glowing lines. It was warm, almost alive. He pulled his hand back quickly. No one else dared to touch it. Then came the second surprise. Outside every house in the village lay a basket. Each basket was filled with food, shiny fruits the villagers had never seen before, long bread-like loaves that smelled sweet, and clear bottles of water that glowed faintly blue. The people gathered around the baskets, their fear mixing with curiosity. Some children reached for the fruits, but their mothers quickly pulled them back. "What is this?" the headman of the village shouted. "Who put these here?" No one answered. The villagers only shook their heads and whispered. Aaron's eyes widened. He remembered his promise to the alien, to bring food every day. But instead of taking, the alien had given back. Not just to him, but to the entire village. He wanted to shout, "It's a gift!" "It's safe." But he kept quiet. If he spoke, they would ask how he knew, and then his secret would be revealed. The villagers argued loudly. Some said the food was poison and should be destroyed. Others said it was a blessing and should be eaten. "Why would anyone leave food for us?" one man shouted. "Maybe they want to trick us," another argued. "No," a woman said, her voice trembling. "Maybe it's a sign. Maybe we are chosen." The headman frowned deeply. "We cannot touch this. It may be cursed. We will leave it here. No one eats until we are sure, but hunger is stronger than fear." Later, when no one was watching, children sneaked fruits into their mouths. Their eyes lit up. "This is sweet." One child laughed. "Sweeter than honey." Another child whispered, "It makes me feel strong. Stronger than before." By afternoon, the secret was out. The children who ate the strange food ran faster, climbed higher, and played longer without tiring. Their cheeks glowed with health. The elders grew even more worried. "This is unnatural," they muttered. But Aaron knew better. He remembered the alien's trembling body when he first saw it, weak from hunger. He remembered how its glow grew stronger as it ate. This was no curse. This was survival. This was kindness returned. Still, questions filled his mind. Why had they done this for the whole village? Was it a thank you to him? Or was it something bigger, something planned? That night, the glowing patterns in the fields shone even brighter. From the hills, they looked like giant symbols written into the earth. Some villagers refused to sleep, watching the lights with wide, fearful eyes. Others locked their doors, praying to be safe. Aaron, however, stood outside quietly. His chest tightened with both fear and excitement. He felt sure the small alien was not alone. Others must be here too, hiding in the forest. And now they had revealed themselves in a way no one could ignore. The morning surprise had shaken the village. But Aaron felt it was only the beginning. The gift of food was not just kindness. It was a message, and messages always meant something was coming. For the first time in many years, Kaira village did not wake to the smell of porridge or bread. Instead, it woke to the sight of strange fruits glowing on kitchen tables, sweet loaves stacked in baskets and bottles of blue water resting in every home. The villagers had argued all night, and by morning the arguments had only grown louder. Some believed the food was a blessing sent by spirits or gods. Others whispered it was a trap, poison left to weaken them. Fear filled the air like smoke, thick and heavy. Aaron sat quietly listening to the elders. His heart pounded as he remembered the alien's silver eyes, the way it had touched him, the vision of fire and loss. He knew deep inside that the food was a gift, not a curse. But how could he prove it without revealing his secret? The headman stood in the middle of the gathering. His voice was stern. "No one touches the food. We cannot trust what we do not understand." But already children had eaten it, and the change was clear. They ran through the lanes with endless energy, their laughter louder than ever. Their faces glowed with color, their steps were light, their eyes sparkled. The older villagers watched with unease. "It is unnatural," one woman muttered. "It is dangerous," said another. "Or maybe," whispered a farmer, "it is hope." Aaron's hands trembled. He could not stop thinking about the fruit he had secretly tasted the day before. The burst of energy, the warmth that had spread through his body, it had felt alive. Stronger than any meal his mother had ever made. If the children were unharmed, maybe the food truly was safe. Maybe it was a gift of life, but why? Why would the aliens help humans? And why this village? That night, Aaron made a decision. He slipped out of his house quietly, carrying a small basket of food from his home. He walked toward the forest, heart pounding in the dark. The glowing patterns in the fields lit his path. They seemed to pulse as if breathing, alive with meaning he could not yet understand. At the edge of the trees, he stopped. "Hello?" he whispered. "I brought your food back. I don't understand why you gave it to us." For a moment, there was only silence. Then a shadow moved. The small alien stepped forward, its skin glowing faintly. But it was not alone this time. Two others appeared behind it, smaller but similar. Their eyes fixed on Aaron, his chest tightened. His suspicion was right, there were more of them. He placed the basket on the ground. "Why are you here? Why give food to us?" The first alien, the one he had fed days ago, walked closer. It touched the basket gently, then looked up at Aaron. Suddenly, Aaron felt a rush in his mind. Pictures, feelings, emotions. He saw stars. He saw ships flying through the sky. He saw fire raining down on a world far away. He saw the aliens running, hiding, starving. Then he saw them searching for a place, for someone who would show kindness. Aaron gasped and stepped back. You came here because I fed you?" The alien's eyes glowed brighter. In his mind, Aaron felt one word, though it was not spoken. Yes, Aaron's throat went dry. One small act of kindness had brought them here. His small lunch had changed everything. But then another image filled his head, darker, heavier. He saw huge shadows in the sky, larger ships burning with red fire. He felt fear. He felt danger. The vision ended. Aaron staggered, breathing hard. The alien lowered its head almost in sorrow. "What was that?" Aaron whispered. "Who are they?" The alien did not answer with words, only silence. But the fear in its eyes was enough, Aaron realized then. The food was not just a gift. It was also a message, a warning. When he returned to the village, he found the people still awake, still arguing. Some wanted to throw the food into the river. Others wanted to eat it all before it spoiled. Aaron stood there silent, torn between two worlds. He had promised the alien to keep its secret. But how long could he hide the truth? The food made the children stronger, but it also brought questions that could not be ignored. And somewhere beyond the stars, shadows were moving. The gift of food was no longer simple. It had become a mystery that could either save his village or destroy it. The village of Kyra did not sleep peacefully that night. The glowing patterns in the fields pulsed like giant lanterns, and the strange food baskets sat outside houses untouched, or secretly eaten by the brave. Fear and curiosity walked together in every home. Aaron lay awake again, staring at the roof. His mind burned with questions. The visions he had seen from the alien were clear in his memory. Worlds on fire, survivors wandering, shadows of greater danger. He knew something bigger was coming, and then it happened. A faint sound rose in the distance like the hum of wind through metal. It grew louder, steady, vibrating through the ground. Dogs barked, children cried, and elders rushed out of their homes. People gathered in the village square, pointing toward the forest. The trees glowed. Dozens of small lights flickered between the trunks, silver and blue moving closer. The villagers gasped in fear. Some grabbed sticks, others prayed under their breath. Then the figures stepped out. They were small, glowing beings, the same kind Aaron had met, but more of them. 10, maybe 12, moving silently into the square. Their silver eyes shone like moons. Screams broke out. Mothers pulled their children close. Men shouted warnings. The headman raised his staff, trembling. "Stay back. Stay away from our homes." But the aliens did not attack. They moved slowly, calmly, stopping in the center of the village. And then as one, they bowed. The villagers froze in shock. None had expected this, and then something even stranger happened. The group of aliens turned their glowing eyes toward Aaron. He felt his heart stop. His legs shook. He wanted to hide, but their gaze held him like invisible ropes. Slowly, almost against his will, he stepped forward. "Aaron," his mother shouted, terrified, but he kept walking, pulled by something greater than fear. The first alien, the one he had fed, moved closer. It raised its small hand and touched his chest lightly. At once, a wave of warmth spread through him, and the vision came again. This time it was clearer. He saw their ships broken and falling through the stars. He saw children like them crying in the dark. And above, he saw massive shadows of red ships armed with fire and destruction. When the vision ended, Aaron staggered, gasping. The alien looked into his eyes. In his head, he heard a word without sound. "Friend," the villagers murmured in confusion. Some were terrified, others curious. "What is happening?" one man shouted. Why are they bowing to the boy? Another demanded. Are they spirits, gods? Whispered a woman. The headman's voice shook. Stay away from him. This is dangerous. But before anyone could move, the aliens pointed upward. The villagers followed their gaze and gasped. High above the sky, faint but unmistakable, were shapes. Dark, sharp shapes that hovered among the stars. They were too large to be birds, too silent to be clouds. Their outlines glowed faintly red, watching from far above. Aaron's blood ran cold. He recognized them from the vision. These were the enemies, the hunters. The reason the aliens had fled. The villagers panicked. The sky is burning, someone cried. The end is coming. But the aliens did not flee. They stayed in the square, standing beside Aaron. Their silver glow grew brighter, as if forming a shield around him. In that moment, the village was split. Half the people screamed to drive the creatures away. The other half whispered that they should listen. Aaron stood frozen, his heart beating louder than the shouts around him. He did not know what to say. He was only a boy. Yet these beings looked at him as if he carried the answer. The alien leader touched his wrist again, and Aaron felt the message. One fed. We trust, we stay. He understood then. They were not here to harm. They were here to ask for help. His single act of kindness had made him their bridge. But above, the red shadows moved slowly across the stars, like hunters circling prey. The villagers argued louder, their fear growing. Some wanted to fight, some wanted to hide, some wanted to blame Aaron. But the truth was clear to Aaron now. The aliens had returned not just to thank him, but to warn the village, and the warning was simple. The danger was already here. The night sky above Kyra was no longer peaceful. Red shadows drifted high among the stars, silent and menacing. The villagers huddled together in fear, their whispers sharp and desperate. The glowing beings stood calmly in the square, their silver light holding back the darkness. And in the middle of it all was Aaron. He had never felt so small. He was only a boy, yet every eye, human and alien, was fixed on him. The headman raised his staff. These creatures bring danger. Look above us! Their enemies are here. If we keep them, we will all die. Some villagers shouted in agreement. Send them away. They are cursed! But others shook their heads. They brought food when we had none. They bowed to the boy. They mean no harm. The village was divided, fear pulling it apart. Aaron looked at the first alien, the one he had fed. It stepped closer, touching his hand. At once, images filled his mind again, clearer than ever. He saw their world destroyed. He saw them running, hiding, starving across the stars. He saw many villages like his, but none had shown kindness. Until now. And then came the final vision. Great ships of fire descending, crushing everything. The aliens' fear was not just for themselves, it was for anyone near them. For anyone who dared to help Aaron gasped. His knees shook. But the alien's silver eyes met his, steady and calm. One word echoed in his mind. Together. Aaron swallowed hard. He turned to his people. They are not our enemies, he said, his young voice trembling but strong. They are running from something worse. I gave one of them my lunch, and because of that, they gave food to us. They don't want to hurt us. They want to stand with us, the crowd murmured. Some softened, others still doubted. The headman frowned. You are a child. You do not understand war. Aaron lifted his chin. Maybe. But I understand this. When someone is hungry, you feed them. When someone is lost, you give them a home. That is what it means to be human. His words cut through the silence. For a moment, no one spoke. Then something unexpected happened. A farmer stepped forward, placing his hand on Aaron's shoulder. The boy is right. They gave us food when we had nothing. We cannot turn them away. One by one, others nodded. Women, children, even the old began to step closer to the aliens, no longer with fear, but with cautious hope. The silver beings watched quietly, their glow warming as if reflecting the human's choice. But above, the red shadows stirred. A low rumble filled the sky, shaking the ground. The enemy had seen. The enemy was coming. The villagers panicked. What do we do? We cannot fight ships in the sky. Aaron looked up at the looming threat, then back at the aliens. He felt their fear, but he also felt something else. The same thing he had felt that first day when he shared his food. A connection. A bond, he raised his voice. We are only a small village, but we are not weak. If they come for you, they will find us standing with you, because humans protect those who stand beside them. The aliens' silver light flared brighter, almost blinding. They stepped forward and for the first time spoke aloud in broken words. One child fed us. One village feeds us. We feed all. Their voices were strange, metallic yet gentle, echoing as if more than one spoke at once. The villagers gasped, but their fear was slowly melting into awe. The aliens raised their hands toward the sky. Their glow spread, connecting, weaving together like threads of light. A silver shield began to shimmer above the village, stretching wide, forming a dome against the red shadows. The ground shook as beams of red fire streaked from the sky. But the shield held. The blast cracked and roared, but the silver glow resisted. Fueled not by alien strength alone, but by trust, by unity, by the bond between two species. The villagers clung to one another, watching as the small beings defended them. And in that moment they understood. The food was not poison, not a curse. It was a gift of alliance, a promise that kindness would be repaid, not once but many times over. The red shadows above retreated slowly, fading into the night. Silence returned, broken only by the sound of villagers breathing, alive, unharmed. When the danger passed, the silver shield faded. The aliens lowered their hands, their light dimming but their eyes shining with relief. They turned once more to Aaron and bowed deeply. The headman, once so doubtful, dropped his staff and knelt. Others followed, bowing not in fear but in respect. Aaron stood in the center, his heart pounding. He realized then that a simple act, a boy sharing his lunch with a starving stranger, had changed everything. The aliens were no longer outsiders. They were allies. And the village of Kyra was no longer just a small, forgotten place. It was the first to stand in unity with beings from the stars. The boy smiled faintly. The story was only beginning. But one truth had already been written in the sky. Humans fight not because they are the strongest, but because they never abandon those they call friends.